Here we go, It Oaks, Day on Friday at Epsom, and it's a very good card to whet the palate for Saturday's derby, the most prestigious classic of all. Remember, we're on a drive to build up that subscriber count, so do get all your pals on board, and remember to check in later in the week for the Deep Dive EULO Weekender podcast with Barney and guests. It's just a week and a half to Royal Ascot, where we'll be covering every race every day. Last year, our win rate was 33%, with 50% of our selections finishing in the first three. So we've set a high bar for 2025. Friday's nap is Francis Henri Grafford's Calandagan lining up in the Coronation Cup as we take our first look at the Epsom Classic course in 2025. This Gleneagles gelding is one of Europe's best middle distance horses, only once finishing out of the first two from 9 career starts, and I'm pretty sure that record isn't under threat. He was a one-length second to City of Troy on good to firm ground at Ascot's Royal Meeting last year. So with stacks of form on soft going back home in France, I'm not too bothered how the ground turns out after this week's rain. Calandagan should be just fine, and it's hard to forget Mikel Barcelona's win on Pour Moi in the 2011 Derby. I mean, the cheeky chappie stood up in his stirrups before he crossed the line after his stunning last to first move in the home straight paid off. I'd love it if he could do the same again. Aidan O'Brien has the best record in the Derby, so his string always have to be shortlisted. So Jan Bruegel, last year's St. Leger winner, is considered. And Marco Botti's Giavolotto has certainly got the stamina for this trip over Epsom's undulations, if taking to this course. I can't get away from Calandagan for the win, with Giavolotto my each-way angle under the brilliant Oisin Murphy. For my next best, I'm finding it hard to get away from Desert Flower for the Oaks, despite the threat of rain this week giving Charlie Appleby's unbeaten filly a less familiar surface to cope with. Having said that, there was her brilliant performance in the Fillies Mile at Newmarket to end her 2-year-old season on good to soft ground in the book, so maybe my worries over this aren't so grave. But, and I'm saying this with extra emphasis, if there is plenty of dig in this ground, that can play into the hands of the Irish Raiders, who are more used to it. So not only do Aidan O'Brien's trio enter the equation, but Joseph O'Brien's We Might Take D Long Way stands out as an each-way punt, looking at her last run on soft ground at Navan. But, as I've said in the podcast before, winning the Epsom Classics takes more dimensions to a horse. Speed, for sure, but balance and an ability to change cadence to cope with the ups and downs of the course are crucial too, plus a jockey that knows when to push the button. Fascinating, but I've got to stick with Desert Flower as the standout filly in this field. The listed Surrey Stakes is a nice race to get things underway on Oaks Day here at Epsom, and I'm backing Diego Ventura to do the business. He got off to a good start in the listed King Charles II Stakes at Newmarket last month, a race won by the smart Cosmic Year and sent over to Paris Longchamp as an odds-on jolly, won with a bit in hand under Christophe Soumillon, once given some rain. Sakara Sands looks worth a market check, and Carl Burke's Rebels Gamble both get on my list, but Diego Ventura gets my vote. Next up, Norman's Cay is my pick in the Woodcote. Well, he left it late on his debut under rules, but Richard Hannon's Norman's Cay just got the better of Son of Saraby at Doncaster on the opening day of the season. Wrapped up since then, this is a good chance to keep the 2-year-old campaign unbeaten before some bigger dates in the diary at Newbury and Newmarket. Charlie Appleby's Maximised was impressive enough on his first run at Haydock Park, so is noted, while Eve Johnson-Houghton always does well with her youngsters, so Havana Hurricane can also figure. Richard Hannon has his Wiltshire Yards in fine form, so Norman's Cay is the one I think will come in with this extra furlong a plus. In the Betfred Nifty 50 handicap, I'll take the gamble that the going doesn't cut up too much for Mutaweed, which would give me some worries, but this Frankel gelding is easily capable of winning this. Jim Crowley's in the hot seat, and with George Bowie's Botanical in the lineup, this looks a workable mark for this handicap, and I'm sure he's going to go close. If the rain does have an impact on Friday's card, that could bring David Menuisier's Ashariba into the picture. So the Irish-bred filly is my reserve pick. Mutaweed to score for John and Thaddy Gosden, with Ashariba the one to chase him home if there's still rain about.